Veritas. SCP Files. Episode 28. Cup of Clarity. Incident Report 3753-1. First known incident involving SCP-3753, colloquially known as TKO. Incident occurred during supervised and authorized use. Outcomes noted as entirely unexpected. Object Class: Safe. Risk Assessment Level: Low. Reported by Agent River Frey. Report made November 13th, 2022. This is my first incident report. Well, no, I guess that's not true. I've given them plenty of times before. How could I not when I'm on the front lines of disasters so frequently? This is my first incident report where I'm the star of the show, though. That's so exciting! Well, maybe I shouldn't write that, actually. I know that it's a grave matter and all that, and that I'm supposed to be taking it seriously as I'm in recovery for a possible permanent mental injury. But excited really is how I feel, and I'm not about to go back and cross it out now. I'm telling the truth here, after all, and you did say to write down whatever is on my mind. So I'm going to do just that, and not worry about how it might be interpreted. After all, you can't judge me for being honest about my feelings, and I'm not sure I even can feel worried now after all. Excited, happy, light, free of all burdens. That's the extent of my repertoire, and it's wonderful. Everyone keeps telling me that this whole event didn't happen like it was supposed to. That the process was apparently deeply flawed, and I am gravely ill. But I actually feel great. Even if it was a mistake or an unexpected accident, it benefited me, so why not be excited? That's the thing about the Foundation. If you let yourself get down every time someone gets hurt or something goes wrong, why, you'd be sad constantly. Better to just focus on what you can control and what's going on with you, you know? I'm a mobile task force agent, and that means a whole lot of dangerous tasks, and people die around you at a frankly astonishing rate. But I have barely ever had to make the drastic calls myself. I follow the orders I'm given, and I have very little control over the outcomes as a result. So why should I feel badly when things aren't actually my choice? I do remember that I used to feel badly, I suppose, before the tea that changed my life. Before SCP-3753. I used to feel down about a lot, actually. I saw a therapist regularly. Talked about all the traumatic things I'd seen, the people our team had tried to save and couldn't. I blamed myself for a lot of it, I remember. Why did I do that? It seems so foreign now, that way of thinking. So bizarre. I cared so much about all the people who died. Huh. Weird. Man, I remember all those self-blaming thoughts that I'd get stuck in, looping over and over and over again in my mind. If I was just a little bit faster, she'd still be alive. If I hadn't taken that extra second to stabilize my gun and had been more confident in my aim, he wouldn't have lost his leg. Silly thoughts like that, you know? I get that there's value in evaluating how you do, judging what you could do better. I mean, that's part of why I'm so damn good at what I do. Looking back at how a job went and figuring out what I need to work on and improve so I can move faster, be more prepared to face the constant threats at the Foundation. If I can act faster, more people will make it out alive next time. But blaming myself for what goes wrong is something else entirely. That is, this burden that sits like a thick metal weight right on your chest. It's so heavy that your breathing becomes a struggle. You can't swallow. You can barely move. And when your whole job is to react, and react quickly, that paralyzing anxiety is a real problem, isn't it? So yeah, I was a mess. Isn't that weird? It feels so strange to remember all of that weight. The tea didn't take away the memories, just the feelings. And they're so alien to me now. Oh, you'll get a kick out of this one. I know that I always do. So like, our team was one of the several that responded to the Site-19 containment breach a few months ago. And when we arrived, there was like this D-class who had survived the whole damn thing. He'd made it through, survived all of the breached SCPs, crawled through vents, and fought tooth and nail to escape, and we were ordered to execute him on sight. I actually felt guilty about raising my gun and shooting him after he'd survived all that. Like really, really guilty and disheartened. Isn't that ridiculous? I mean, it wasn't my choice. I was just following orders. And he was a security risk anyways, with everything he'd seen and gone through. There was just no way he could live. So if it wasn't me terminating him, it had been someone else. Right? So what's the point in feeling down? Anyways. It was right after that incident that I had started getting these intrusive thoughts about it all. Like, that guy's face would just pop into my mind whenever I was doing anything. Eating, sleeping, training. I just kept seeing those pleading eyes, and I actually cared. So much that it hurt. I was pathetic. I told the team leader about it, of course. And then there was all this concern that maybe I wasn't in the right mindset to actually be able to do my job effectively anymore. They questioned my capability and fitness. I remember I felt so hurt. The insinuation that I couldn't be an MTF anymore, and all because of these damn feelings. I wanted so badly to just tear into myself, dig into my brain, and rip out every one of those awful, debilitating emotions. All the guilt, all the remorse, all the anxiety and sorrow and pain and empathy that made my choices just weigh down on me so heavily. It wasn't the first time I'd wanted to rid myself of them either. But I'll spare you the sob story that was my pre-foundation life. Hey, no sane person would ever volunteer to be on the front lines of all the Foundation's most intense breaches, would they? I told my therapist about it all, just laid out how badly I wished I could erase these feelings. And, quick as could be, I found myself in a testing room while some scientist droned on and on at me about the mental health benefits of SCP-3753 and how they could get me back on my feet. The SCP itself is one of the more useful ones that the Foundation has discovered. It is 100, formerly 119, chamomile tea bags that rest in a rather unassuming, rough-hewn wooden box. When brewed, and the resulting tea consumed, whatever physical or mental ailment the subject is suffering becomes physically manifested from their body, and they enter into a cage-style fighting match against it. Winning means a complete, or at least significant, recovery. Losing means no changes whatsoever. As I listened to the description, I felt the stirrings of hope in my heart. For the first time in my entire life, I saw a possible remedy to the constant weight of anxiety and sorrow, the constant fight against my own brain, the constant internal need I'd always had to be seen as the best, just so I could feel like I was something and someone worthwhile. All those dark emotions that drove me, I saw the opportunity to finally be rid of them. The tea was so calming, comforting, and soothing. It seeped into every part of my mind, this blanket of gentle, warm hope. I slipped into a deep sleep almost instantly, and as I slept, the tea looked through everything that I was, and determined what I wanted, what I needed to fight. It painlessly and forcefully expelled my brain out from my body, growing into a large, grotesque, misshapen, and perfect adversary. I woke suddenly, and in just a fraction of a second, I was more than ready. I had spent the last decade being trained and honed, sharpened by the Foundation into a living weapon. You don't get to be MTF without knowing exactly how to take down even the strangest of combatants, quickly, ruthlessly, and efficiently. SCP-3753 triggered the loud trill of a boxing bell, echoing around the concrete walls of the testing room, and I dropped reflexively into my combat stance, left leg leading, arms raised to defend my face. In my mind's eye, it was not just my brain that I was facing. It was a gross amalgamation of all my anxieties, my doubts, everything that had ever plagued me. The bitter taste of tea and the soft smell of chamomile hung in the air as I waited for it to attack, as it always had before. It lunged for me, sloppily. The thick doubt made it slow, made it predictable. I dodged easily and struck out a quick jab. As my fist connected with the soft gray matter, I could feel my blow knock a wave of emotion out and away from the both of us. Years of guilt and doubt ejecting under the force and dissipating into the air. It stumbled, and I took the opportunity to strike again, knocking it into the wall. I hit again, and I could feel the weight lifting. Flooding in to replace it was this pleasant, albeit foreign, feeling of lightness, of clarity. And then it happened. I suddenly had this odd sensation that it was all fixed. That my brain was right where everyone else had always thought it needed to be. That I had punched and lashed out every ounce of depression and anxiety that had so plagued my life. But I also knew that this was not all that I had wanted. Although all the experts kept telling me their version of where I should be at, it had never sat right with me. Just get rid of the diagnosable stuff wasn't enough. It wasn't far enough to fully counterbalance all that I had been through, to really feel free of it all. Maybe they were right. I don't know. My therapist used to go on about that balance, you know? About needing guilt and remorse and anxiety. That they were, in small enough doses, right, natural, and healthy. A counterbalance that allows us to act morally and fit into a highly social world. But to me, I don't know. I looked at my brain, my enemy, and I knew this was my only chance to go all the way. I beat it again. The last of the weight had fully gone, but that didn't stop me from putting the full force of every ounce of my strength into that punch. It felt off. Not like it had before. Not good and right anymore. But that's what I had wanted before the fight began. And that lingering drive continued to hang over me, puppeting my actions. For a moment, I almost let up, almost backed away and let the fight end there. But no, I was fixing the core root of my problem. I had to have been. I don't know. I kept attacking and ripping into it, my blows raining harder and harder as my resolve deepened. I bashed away all of it in a drum-like chorus of controlled, hateful violence. The last remnants of natural anxiety that could lead to fear or worry. The capacity for any sadness at all. The social cares that could lead to embarrassment or shame. The consideration that could lead to guilt. And then I struck out everything that was associated. All of the righteous anger, compassion, understanding, caring, sympathy, sensitivity. Those parts felt different when they left, each one hollowing me out, leaving an empty space in its wake that was less than peaceful, that felt like a void in my world. When my empathy finally puffed out of existence in its entirety, it felt odd, uncomfortable. I didn't like it. When I had hid it all away, fully destroyed every piece that could have ever generated that weight again, that is when I stopped. For a moment, I remember I felt so hollow, and I had this alien thought that this was it. That perhaps an empty nothingness, a void which used to hold everything that was me, that this reality was actually worse, that there was no going back. I looked at the bloody pulp of squished, pulverized matter that had once been my brain, and I felt nothing at all. There was total silence in the room as the wreckage absorbed back into my body. When I could eventually think again, there was just one single brief moment of that emptiness. So much of myself had been pummeled out of me that I knew something else needed to replace it. I wasn't afraid, though, and I made my choice. It was easy to choose what I wanted to hold on to out of what remained. The sheer joy that I chose to nourish, to latch onto as a replacement, to fill every part of the wake that had been left. I can tell you that it is nothing short of amazing. The researchers tried to tell me that I'd gone too far, that something had gone wrong with the procedure, that it wasn't supposed to be this way. Apparently, this treatment was supposed to remove my depression and anxiety in order to help me, but it was not supposed to fundamentally change me or my personality. Everyone keeps telling me how different I am, as though it's a bad thing. They tell me it's not right that I've stopped caring about who I hurt and who I kill. They tell me that the new me should be ashamed of the things that I have done and said since my recovery. But they don't understand. I can't feel ashamed now. It's silly to suggest that I should. My supervisor is questioning my assignment to my team, though. Isn't that silly? So many of my so-called teammates have denounced me. I can't quite understand why. But I've decided that they must all simply be jealous of how good I feel, and how easily being ruthless and efficient comes to me now. A small part of me thinks, well, maybe there's something to that. Maybe with all of my training, all of my fierce hatred of that weight, maybe I did go too far. But even if that's the truth, it's hard to care, you know? And hey, I'm still listening to the orders I'm given. Why not? Usually they're to shoot something or go somewhere dangerous, and that's fun. It's not like I took away my ability to feel adrenaline. Although, perhaps it really is time to leave the MTF. I've been given this opportunity, actually. A new job offer. Something extremely specialized. The person making the request, he says he knows just what role I can fulfill. Seems like he's the only one who understands that I am more valuable this way, not less. After all, if I can make hard choices without being bogged down by ethical considerations and can kill without caring, it makes me perfect for some of the harder assignments the Foundation can give. You see, this new job... and that's the end of the report, I guess. Apologies for the abrupt ending. There is an additional page of writing, but it's been fully redacted. Whatever this new job is, and whatever role her lack of caring and empathy plays in it, that information is evidently quite secret. I'm not sure what exactly I was supposed to get from this report. It was left out on my desk with my name tag anchoring it in place, though I don't know who left it there. Miranda, perhaps? But why?
Knock, knock.
Finished with River's report?
Yes, I am. Hello, Niall. Mary. Did you two leave this for me?
I did. Just thought you ought to know a little bit about Agent River Frey before she shows up. I sent for her a few days ago. Thought she'd be useful against the upcoming attack.
I see. It sounds like she's a little, unstable, though.
Very unstable. I don't like this plan either, Scott. It's a bad idea. Help me convince him of that.
Since when did stability stop the chaos insurgency? Look, yes, she lacks empathy and remorse, and she's a bit of a loose cannon, but she's also one of the best agents the Foundation has. We'll want her here, defending. I have a plan. Something the insurgency isn't about to see coming.
Oh? And what's that?
Well, they're looking for useful anomalies. SCPs that they can twist for their own use. And we have one in particular that I know they're going to go after.
Seth is running around like a lunatic trying to increase firepower. But Niall has a different plan. He tried to include Seth in it, but... well, Seth only laughed in his face. Seems that man thinks the only solution is more and bigger weapons.
I think that, with Damien at the head of the Chaos Insurgency's charge, a subtler approach will always be the better one. So what do you think, Scott? Ready to talk a little shop?
Absolutely.
Good lad. Start a fresh recording, and let's get to it then.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Cup of Clarity is based on SCP-3753 by Werillium from the SCP Wiki located at scp-wiki.com/SCP-3753. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Sharealike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured Justin Gellner as Scott Anderson, D.R. Thompson as Niall Connors, and Cody W. as Meriwether Parker. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us, Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Tweet us at Vault Veritas, or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.